Hello, Darren Stewart with Stewart and Stewart Attorneys. If you're scrolling right now, stop. Give us a couple seconds here. We're going to tell you something really cool. As always, Nick Wagner joining me. How are you?
Sir. I'm doing great.
I'm doing great too. So,
Good.
I received a call recently, a question from a prospective client that was in a car wreck where one of the vehicles was in a blind spot, and they wanted to know what liability is there. Does the person have a duty? Should they have seen him? They couldn't see him. Is it really their fault? That kind of thing.
Well, good question. We get that quite a bit actually, and see them in police reports. You know, we're taught a couple big things. You know, in driving school, when it comes to switching lanes and making turns, it's, you know, check your rear view mirrors, but also check your blind spot. So there's a difference between what you're seeing in your rearview mirror and what's in that blind spot, you know, because you can't see it otherwise. It's important, especially if you're switching lanes, especially if you're turning from one direction to another, to be careful where you're, you know, going and who's behind you and who you can't see. And that applies to everybody.
Yeah. So this person that called me was in this car wreck, and the car changed lanes into them. And one of the first things out of that driver's mouth was, "It's not my fault. I couldn't see you.
Yeah.
You were in my blind spot."
Right.
And of course, I let that client or prospective client know that, well, it's not their fault. It's her fault. She should not have changed lanes into him.
Yeah, that's right. There's a law that says you can't make an unsafe lane movement if it's not safe to do so. So, you know, that's for everybody to follow. But if someone is trying to pull that card and saying, "I didn't see you because you're in my blind spot," that's not a very good excuse.
And everyone on the road is allowed to assume or presume that all the other drivers are going to obey the rules of the road.
Right.
And so that you can assume they're going to be checking your blind spot. That doesn't mean you should be defensive and watch for that, but sometimes it happens quickly.
Yep.
And you're allowed to assume that they're checking their blind spot before they change lanes. Clearly, she didn't.
Right.
As you point out, your mirrors aren't always enough.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so if you have any questions about blind spots, about being in a wreck where someone's trying to pull that card, give Stewart and Stewart a call.